just want you, nothing else, nothing else. Oh my God, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else. Hey, nothing else. Yeah. Nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Caught up in your presence. I just want to see you. Caught up in this whole moment. And I wanna stay right here. Oh, I'm not here, say, I'm not here for this. Oh no, yeah. Jesus, you gave it all already. Woo. More than anything that you tonight, I'm sorry, I'm sorry when I've gone right. I'm sorry when I sing another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry when I've come with my take me back, open just one more time, and I just want. All I want, I just want you. Nothing else. Oh yeah. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing. Nothing else will do.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. This is Real Life Conversations. It's Tuesday night. I'm excited. I want everybody to come in, say good evening, tell us where you're from, give us all that good information. Also, while you're doing that, I'm asking for you to do me a favor, and that's share this live stream. When you share it, use the hashtag We Set the Standard. We set the standard. Also, if you want to give, if you feel like sowing into the Life Church, our cash app is right here below. It's $ the Life Church. At any time, if you feel like giving that, you can do that. Tonight, I am excited about this topic, leading and bleeding. And I brought on one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Many of you know him, but I'm gonna allow him to introduce himself. So if you don't mind, please introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, my name is on the bottom of the screen now. Hey, I'm Pastor Robert Bailey Jr., Senior Pastor of Greater New Hope Church, the Praise Dome Nation.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Houston, Texas. Let's get it.
All right. So this is what we're talking about: leading and bleeding. And so we're gonna dive right into this. Before we really get started, though, if you have any questions or anything that you want to add to the conversation, feel free to do it in the comment section. I'm gonna see it. We're gonna answer those questions, and we're gonna. I lost him. I lost him. Hold on. Let me get him back, guys. Let me get him back. Just a second, guys. Let me get him back. Hold on just a second. I'm going to get him back, guys. All right. We got everything back together. All right, he's back. Woo! All right, so we're gonna get started. And let me tell you how much they love us. The numbers didn't even drop the whole time I was trying to get you back on here.
Oh, cool. That's what's up.
So in a minute, I'm just gonna tell you this now, Pastor Bailey. I just received a message from somebody else that wants to sneak in and be a guest tonight. None other than the pastor Antoine Stewart.
Of course.
He will be joining us in just a second. I just sent him the link to join, and so hopefully he'll be getting on here pretty soon.
This is gonna be real interesting now.
Yeah, we're gonna make it as interesting as possible. Talking about leading and bleeding. Hold on, I'm getting him on right now. Y'all give me a second. This thing is really gonna jump off.
Oh man. This is about to be good and interesting. Brothers on here. Good Lord.
Yeah. Brothers, we are brothers. I'll tell you, this thing is gonna be real right here.
Oh Jesus.
This thing's about to get real. So I just sent him the link. He's getting ready to jump on with us. We're getting ready to talk about leading and bleeding. And let me tell y'all, let me get y'all started. We're talking about from all aspects of leading. We're talking about that all three of us that'll be on here. We're all fathers, we're all pastors, we have businesses, we have just everything. And so to be leaders, he said getting on now. To be leaders is something that we have to be. We have to carry a certain weight all the time in public, but we never. I think it's a mistake, or people don't really understand how leaders hurt too.
Absolutely.
Leaders have trouble. Leaders bleed. Leaders. We have weak moments. We have moments where I being very candid. Just a couple days ago, I had a moment where I just wanted to put the pastor hat down, the daddy hat, and I just want to start going off on everybody.
Yeah.
But the damage I would cause by doing that,
Absolutely.
And so that's what we're going to talk about is this thing. Hopefully it'll help people know what we deal with and how that it's important for them to pray and encourage us as leaders. So I'm gonna let you get started. I'm gonna ask this question, and Antoine will be getting in here pretty soon.
All right.
I'm gonna ask you this question: where do you think leading and bleeding starts?
I mean, it's really hard to really put your finger on where it starts. I believe though that it's a twofold thing. It's not. There he is.
There he is.
It's not.
Introduce yourself to the world, and then we gonna let Pastor Bailey finish this question. Tell
Hey
who you
y'all,
are.
I am Antoine Stewart, and I'm excited to be here. Praise Jesus.
But
Yeah,
the
I don't want to hold up
damage
the
I was
time.
caused by doing that, you know. And so he got muted. You got to mute that.
You got to turn your volume down all the way down.
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Antoine.
Hi, guys.
All right.
Hi,
So the question, Antoine, we starting off, man. The question is, where does leading and bleeding start? We're gonna let Pastor Bailey answer, then we're gonna get into it.
I don't know if we'll. There he is.
There he is.
It's not.
Introduce yourself to. Okay.
I don't know if it's
all right. So the question, Antoine, we starting off, man. The question is
giving us
where does leading and bleeding start? That might be me. We're gonna let Pastor Bailey answer, then we're gonna get into it. No, that's not me.
I don't know if we'll. There he is.
There he is. It's not.
Why we sitting here intrigued by our own selves talking about
right,
Antoine?
because we having technical difficulties today. I ain't never had these problems before. Where does leading and bleeding start? That might be me. Hold on, what's going on? We're gonna see if it's you. No, that's not me.
I don't know if
yeah, that's you.
Amen. Why we sitting here intrigued by our own selves talking about
right, because we having technical difficulties today. Oh my God. Y'all bear with us today. This is crazy. We are definitely having trouble. Robert, that's you, man. What? I'm gonna unmute you.
Why we intrigued by our
that's you. We're having technical difficulties. They say, go ahead, we listening. All right, we're gonna try to work through this. We're gonna work through it, y'all. Come on. All right. This is crazy. We are definitely having trouble. Robert, that's you, man. Oh my God. All right, so we're gonna let hold on, this is crazy. I don't know what's going on. Antoine, you talk.
It's so muting. Anyway, let me ask you a question. Let's act like it's not happening. All right.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so pastoring with bleeding, it's almost like what just happened, right? It's like that's what happens with pastoring. It's like as much as we want to prepare ourselves for disappointments and we want to alleviate through preparation as many disappointments, mistakes, or things that will offend us, sometimes it's inevitable. It's going to happen. You get what I'm saying? And the question now is the reason why pastors struggle with those disappointments and those because we don't leave room for them. And we don't have what you just had, Pastor Whitaker. Somebody in the comments saying, hey, I know you're having technical difficulties, but press through because we need to hear what you say. And what we do is that we look at the technical difficulties of leaders in church and make them disqualified for our ears. When the truth be told is that they have something to say. The technical difficulties does not eliminate them or make them any less gifted or qualified to give what it is we have to give. But because we reject it and we are hurt and offended because people don't expect us to have technical difficulties, it causes us to go through a self-esteem situation. We go through self-discipline because now Pastor Whitaker is saying, man, I worked hard for this. I had a certain invited guest to come on, and my ministry or my business is connected to people or circumstances that I can't control. And once pastors and leaders leave room for the errors, leave room for the last minute hiccups, and don't use those to question your value and use those as a way that now I have to come up with another way to challenge or handle this challenge. we can move on. But we put too much on ourselves. I think it goes back before we can talk about people making us bleed. Let's deal with how we as leaders are so critical that we stab ourselves. And the people are saying, hey man, give me what you got. Because I don't want nobody preaching to me that don't have technical difficulties. I don't want nobody preaching to me that ain't never been broke. I don't want, and because we're so busy trying to convince bleeding people that we don't bleed, we suffer when we do.
Yeah, that's big. That's huge to try to hide it. Pastor Bailey, do me a favor, log out and come back in, and let's see if we can get it to work. Real quick. Yeah, man. So here it is. What you're saying is that we fall apart. And I know it's several times, often in growing, new pastor. There's been several times that I've done that, had that plan and had it in my head, hyped myself up all week, only to be disappointed in the moment, only to be disappointed at the time. And that's big to know that we beat ourselves up. Let's see if Pastor Bailey working now. Talk to me, my brother.
Well, I mean, I was going to say the same thing, man. I honestly was going to say the same thing Antoine was going to say. I think we put up this facade that we are supermen and super women all the time, and we never are Clark Kent. We never have that moment when we're normal, when we don't make mistakes, because mistakes happen. And I think because we put ourselves up so high, when we fail, we not only fail the people, we fail ourselves. And so it becomes more damaging to us because we're bleeding internally without anybody to help us, or to not have an outlet or a way for us to be able to release that bleeding. When you bleed internally, you basically suffocate yourself internally. So a lot of us are struggling with dealing with how, not just publicly, man, just privately, like private stuff that we don't really address, that we don't really attack. And I think a lot of the bleeding that we have, and I can only think about, every time I hear this particular phrase, I always think about Moses. When God gave Moses the 10 Commandments on the mount and he came down, he was so angry at the people that he destroyed what God put in his hands. And that's the most critical thing that we end up doing, is destroying what God put in our hands, because we're frustrated at people, when in actuality, God gave us the assignment. He gave us the call. He gave us the purpose or the zeal, so we got to understand that a lot of the things that we deal with, we don't deal with them internally and for ourselves. And then we go out and still try to preach through it and still try to lay hands on other people, and all we're doing is basically transferring the blood on everybody else, because now they got to feel our pain, our aggravation, our frustration. When people ain't giving, now we pissed off at everybody. I know I probably couldn't say that, but I'm just saying that. And we spill all of that everywhere, instead of doing a self-examination and a process on ourselves, so that we can make sure that when we release what God has given us, it's not in frustration or aggravation.
But here's the truth, man, and I'm just going to be real with you as a pastor. Sometimes the people run you hot. Let's just be real. When you have vision, when you have plans, when you see the church in a place where it's shifting, and then you have people who just don't do, that could be a blow. And like I say, I grew. Y'all already know, you've had to teach me off several times, man. Don't go off. Never go off. But is it ever warranted where I get to tell them what I want to tell them?
No. No. And this is the truth, Pastor Whitaker. It's never going to be right. You're never going to have a staff. And this is what leaders got to accept, man. If I didn't need to tell them what to do, or if they didn't show me that they need me, I wouldn't have a job. Right. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you great preachers this. Both of y'all preach really, really well. I enjoy both of y'all. Who would you say is the most influential man to the Christian faith that's ever walked earth?
Jesus.
Who would you say, Pastor Bailey?
Most influential man
The
to ever what?
Walk this earth. The most influential man
Jesus.
to the. Okay, what is the greatest thing he did?
Reached out to people. He reached people.
The greatest thing and the greatest way he did it was bleeding.
Yep, absolutely.
True.
Absolutely.
The greatest thing Jesus ever did for us was bled. And for me to want to be a leader and stop bleeding
not
takes
bleed,
me
right.
out of leadership.
Right.
That's bruh.
And here's the other thing I was going to tell you too. When Moses got ready to cross the Red Sea, it was one thing he did. He raised his staff.
We get ready to go right in there.
Sometimes we don't raise our staff enough. And the reason why we're still stuck on this side of the sea is because we hadn't raised the staff. We got to raise them. And once we raise the staff, they understand why they are in our hands, why God put them in our hands and under our leadership. So, I mean, that's what I believe. Sometimes we forget that, and we get comfortable and leave our staffs on the ground. So the lower the staff is, the more stuck you stay. But the higher you raise them, the further you go. So,
and I was just getting ready to ask that question: how important is the team? And I'm not talking about, I'm not talking. There's like here at the Life Church. I'm gonna tell you, we have a team, but then I have a team that's right there. I have a team that has the permission to say, Pastor, no, that ain't gonna work. How important is that? If there's any pastors or leaders out here that need to know this, how important is it to have a team, not a group of people that when I say, you know what, guys, we're going to go out here and have a revival, and they say, okay, let's do it. No, a team that's going to say, Pastor, okay, whoa, why are we doing the revival? What's the direction? What direction? What do you see? I want to see what you see. Pastor, I don't think that's a good idea. That's not going to work. That can be that place with you. How important is that for a leader to help him with the load?
Let me answer first, Pastor Whitaker. Let me say this to you. My natural gift is communication, right? I can talk my way out of a wet paper bag. I can influence anybody. I'm not organized. I'm not a writer. I'm not that's organization is not my thing. Every vision that God has gave me has been bigger than my working ability. I've always had the spiritual capacity to hold what it is God has put in my vision or put in my spirit. But there has never been one thing that God has told me that he needed me to do that was beyond my natural abilities. So if any pastor is saying that they doing what God told them to do and it excluded a team, it can't be that great.
Yeah, true that.
Because what I do is, and I get this from Bishop Jakes, what I do is that all of my team, my real life team, does something well that I don't do at all that I need. So that's why I can compliment, I can build up my team. And there's never jealousy. There's never competition, because the only reason you are on my team is you do something well that I don't know how to do at all. Right? What
Absolutely.
God has given me as a leader is the grace to see tomorrow. What God has given me as a team is what moved me from today to tomorrow.
Yeah.
So as a leader, I have to let my team know, hey, I need you. But the truth is you need me too. Mm-hmm. So we have to be, what happens is it's not us bleeding. The problem is why we're bleeding and what we're doing after we bleed that becomes damaging.
Absolutely.
I need you to bleed because bleeding says that he's cutting on you to sharpen you, and he's killing you daily to make sure he's getting the glory.
Ooh.
Every sacrifice requires blood.
Blood. Absolutely, man.
So if I don't bleed as a leader, I eliminated
you
that sacrifice piece that I need to lead you.
Absolutely.
What the people in place does is is that my team knows how to handle, watch this here, me enough to know that when I bleed, it don't make a mess for the people that need my product.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
why my team is in place. They know how to manage my blood.
My blood. That's
And
big.
that's preachers.
Absolutely.
That's Christians. That's disciples. The disciples was expected when Jesus shed his blood.
Yeah,
What
man.
are you gonna do with it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's big.
Will you even remember it? Remember the sacrifice. Do you remember that the blood was shed just so you can continue to do what the blood was designed to do?
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's the part that makes the team so special, because you got to have people that can see you bleed, watch this, and still be able to push the vision and get the goal. What is our ending piece? I see you bleeding, but I'm not going to leave you bloody. I am going to take your blood and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to figure out how we're going to use it for the next season, for the next generation, for the next place. And so you need a group of people that's willing to see your sacrifice so that they can support it well.
Yeah. They got to see the sacrifice.
And
He was big though. He was big with leaders and teams. And this is one thing I've learned. What you said, Antoine, was that you are a great communicator, but you're unorganized. And everybody on your team is excellent or better than you at what they do. That comes with accepting them and allowing them to move freely. That comes with an ego check. Because we can't get to a place as leaders and allow our egos to be the blood, because that's the blood that'll make a mess. That's how the mess will be made, with the ego. So we have to set our ego to the side and understand, hey, they better than me at this. And if they say it's not going to work, I got to trust and know that it's not going to work and allow them to make it work.
Right. See, let me tell you.
But wait, hold on, bro, before you say that. But here's the damage to that. If God gave you the vision, their job is to read and run. They can't read and run with something you don't see. So as the leader, you have to see it so the team can have something to read and run. The damage is we don't give them what we see. So they're trying to read and run what you hadn't said. So and that's the trauma of trying to carry a team to a place that they trying to figure out, well, where are we going? What are we doing? How you telling us to follow you, but we don't know where we're going. And sometimes we don't sit back to evaluate the steps. That's why my team is so important, because there are some things that I cannot do that they come into and fill the gaps of, and I'm able to continue to function as I function with them being in their particular places, and nobody oversteps that lane, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So and I'm glad you did respectfully and rudely cut me off, Pastor Bailey, because it sets up what I need to say, though. Because Pastor Bailey is right. What happens now is that now, because I do need to make sure, if I want to lead successfully and effective in my leadership, my biggest concern is not my ego. It's comprehension. It's nothing. If I'm talking to you and you don't understand what I say enough to relieve what I led you with. And that's when the egos come, because the ego says that I'm the boss and I should be able to tell you this and you should be able to get it. No.
Right. Do it my way.
Right. What makes you the boss is not that you bigger than me or that you better than me. So I don't need to make myself big and make you leader or make you little for me to lead you. That's bullying, no matter how you call it.
Absolutely. Dictatorship.
Right. Authority is not ever rude. It don't ever have to be rude. But because I see you as smaller than me, I talk to you as such. But true leaders understand the only reason I'm the leader for this situation is because the call on my life, not the size of my life, neither the gift on my life. Mm-hmm. And we've got to break our egos to complement and compel our staff members as much as we want them to compliment and compel us.
Absolutely, man.
They need to hear us say to them, listen, you are part of this team because I cannot function this in the spirit of excellence if you
Yeah,
do it. You're not under me because I'm bigger than you. You're
absolutely.
not under me because I'm more important than you. You're
Absolutely.
under me for this segment because this is the call that's on my life. But
That's
because
me.
most leaders have small man or short man syndrome, our biggest thing in our meetings is we want to make ourselves big instead of making ourselves plain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I think they need to know, man, like we human. We human, man. I think we take the humanistic side out of our lives, man. Like we want to be spiritual, and I know everybody wants us to be past all the time, but we human, man. Like we make the same mistakes, you know, and I think it was something that really helped me and encouraged me in my leadership was with especially with my leaders, and I have some of them watching us. But it was one thing that really encouraged me, and that was the story of Moses. When God comes to Moses and he calls Moses, Aaron, and Miriam out, he calls them out of the tent and he says, listen, I talked to Moses directly, plainly. He said, I don't talk to y'all that same way. I talk to the prophet, everybody else I talk to in riddles and in different parables, but I talk to him plainly. So you can't do his job. And the Bible says that Miriam was plagued. So here is the one who thought that they was more important than the visionary or the leader, and God ended up stopping the whole progress of the church based on this one person feeling like they're better. But then here's the other side of that. Was my question to the text was, well, is Moses really using them to their best of his ability to get the result he needed to see out of the children of Israel? And if he wasn't, then they are frustrated because they have more to give and can't give it because he won't utilize them in that area. So there's a lot of tension in bleeding because you got to understand roles and responsibilities and then know how to put them in categories so that you can be consistent and keep going forward.
Okay, I got you. Now that was a
That's
statement
right.
you made. That was a statement you made, and as growing up, I've heard this statement so often because the truth is, as pastors, we make mistakes. But how do we keep that statement, I'm human, from being an excuse? Because the truth is, we're human. We're human. But sometimes I believe, and I'm just a different thinker. I believe that we use that I'm human as an excuse sometimes. And I say we to be general. I don't point fingers. But how do we avoid that of using that? I'm human. Hey, I'm human. Because some people will come to a church or pastor they know he ain't even trying to do right. And they'll say he's human. And I believe that's just an excuse.
I think with like the example Pastor Bailey is giving now with I'm human. I'm human in the sense of I'm relatable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning I'm human shouldn't be the excuse to to make mistakes, right? I think at all times when you're truly leading, especially with the intent to please God, there should always be a level of conviction with any mistake you do, whether
Absolutely.
it's a sinful mistake or it's a business mistake or it's a pastoring mistake. If your true desire in what you do is to please God, I'm human is not an excuse ever,
Right.
because
Right.
God knew you was human before he instructed you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think the only time I'm human should be used to show that I'm human enough to lead in spite of my mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Absolutely.
I'm human, so that's why I do make mistakes. The reason why I pound and I preach the I'm human I'm a man. I'm flesh just like you are, to show you that where I'm striving to be, you have the same access to do it. And we've got to get past using I'm human as a out for our mistakes,
Absolutely.
and use I'm human as support to your strive or to your
Absolutely.
drive.
Absolutely.
Right. Mistakes should never be something that you brag on.
Right. Right.
My mistakes, I'm a mistaker, right? I'm a mistake maker, if you will. Y'all know that better than anybody. And my mistakes are public and transparent, not because I need people to say, man, give Antoine a pass, right? I need people to say, if Antoine can be used like this, and we know his human mistakes, that gives me no excuse.
Absolutely.
At
Absolutely.
no point should
Absolutely.
leaders use anything as a statement to defend your sin, except Lord, forgive me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
And that's the conviction that we take anyway.
Exactly. Because if your people get used to you saying, I'm human, so I can make mistakes, it takes away the power that you have to demand them pursue a holy lifestyle. If they hear you saying, I make mistakes, let it be known, Antoine Stewart has been the most public mistaker since he's been preaching. But it's always to tell the people, I got knocked down at this point. If you're there, you can recover. But my goal as a personal relationship, whether I'm a leader or a follower, is to please the Lord in everything I do. That's the standard, not just for leaders.
Absolutely.
So now I can tell you I'm human just like you, to tell you and to convince you that you have the same expectation of living, of surviving, as of recovering as I do. Let's kill this whole, and we might be wrong. They might be mad at us for saying this, but I don't care. If we're going to say that God has no respect of person, we have to let the people know that the same expectation that God has for me to be as the pastor. I know it's easy for you to say, I don't have to do that because I'm not a preacher, but that's not the truth. God don't love Marcus anymore than he loves your member because you're a preaching.
Absolutely.
We have to be humble and kill our egotistical stance in church. We got to stop letting these people believe that the pastor is viewed differently than they are in the eyesight of God. I'm not even held to a higher standard because I plan on doing what I do in excellence. As a pastor, my personal conviction is to do better than Norm. But according to God, I'm not going to get a bigger seat in heaven because I'm a preacher and because you was a mimer.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So human is never excuse for nobody to do wrong.
But there ought to be a conviction, though, and that's the part where it hurts us a little bit more because of the simple fact that we are called to this. Like it ain't like I had a choice. I didn't have a choice. I was called here, and being called here convicts me a little bit more. So where I do make a mistake, and that's one of the reasons why I appreciate Antoine. I know a lot of people don't, but I appreciate Antoine. Yeah. No, I mean they appreciate you, but I'm just saying, you know, when Antoine was coming out and telling all his story and stuff like that, I understood what he was doing. In my mind, I said, okay, God, this is going to be a whole new freedom movement. Like this is getting ready to open up a whole new avenue. But in some people's mind, they thought he was going crazy. You know, me up, hey, your friend done lost his mind. You need to call him. I'm like, no, I know exactly what he's doing. I knew that there had to been some kind of conviction that happened there that caused this freedom to take place where he can talk. And that's what I believe God, Jesus told Peter. He said, Simon, Simon, the devil has asked you that he may sift you as wheat, but I'm praying for you that your faith don't fail. When you get strengthened, then you can go get somebody else. Because
Right.
the responsibility is that I'm watching you bleed. I'm watching you make this mistake, and I know you're gonna do it. But in the reality of doing it, you still have a conviction to come back to me. And when you have that conviction to come back to me, now you can go and help somebody else come back to me too. And I think that's where we don't express that enough, so people will understand. Like, I got up one Sunday, man, after being convicted by God, and I went to people that I had problems with in my church, live and in color, and hugged them and told them, y'all, I'm sorry, with
good.
tears in my eyes. Like, it hurt me so bad. But I knew that if I didn't do it, I couldn't save them. I knew if I didn't do it, then my church wouldn't be whole, or we wouldn't be able to move forward. And so I'm at the place I'm in now, because I held that conviction on my own. And sometimes we as pastors and preachers don't hold that conviction, and we don't want it to be public, because we're so busy bleeding in private that blood is the trace of your blood is everywhere. And so now your children got it. And you know, here it is, your church got it, your job got it, your wife got, it's everywhere. So we got to just figure out a way to allow ourselves to be open enough, not be like, tell all your business, but be open enough where people understand. And that's what I meant by saying I'm human, is that I will make mistakes. But the Bible says, ye who are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. So it ought to be a place where you say, I see your mistake, but I'm coming to you to help correct you, so we can go to the next level. I see what you did, but it's okay, because the same God that restored Peter will restore you. Come on, let's go. Let's get this work done. And that's the kind of place where I feel like God has us in when you talk about leading and bleeding.
Yeah. So the conviction should take I'm human from excuse to glorification of God. Simply what we're saying.
Absolutely.
Because once I say I'm human, that lets the world know that I'm a mess, but God still uses me.
He's still using. I'm still in the potter's hand, Reverend.
I'm still in his hand. I'm still on the wheel. And so
I'm human,
he gonna fix it.
That you can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm such a leader that my expectation to my followers is they lead like me.
Yep.
That's it.
Real leaders produce leaders. And
Mm-hmm.
my goal is I'm not leading you so that you can follow me for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
I'm leading you because I want you to take this leadership style that I have and take what God called you to do and lead. So that's why Robert Bailey says I'm human, so that you can know this gift of leadership is not my gift.
Right.
Leadership is my work ethic.
That's right. That's right.
You get what I'm saying? And let me say this. I'm finna say something that's gonna really mess up y'all's psyche. God expect us to lead in what he's naturally gifted us in to be. Right? Marcus, this probably be the wrong example to give this example, but hey, it is what it is.
Oh Lord.
Listen to me. I believe in my heart that Kobe Bryant that I've watched play basketball. I watched Michael Jordan play a little bit of basketball, in his heydays.
Yeah, you young.
I didn't see his whole career like I got a chance to see Kobe Bryant's, right?
Kobe
Bryant,
that'll be me, real.
Huh?
That'll be me.
Yeah. We forgive you. We forgive you for not seeing Jordan.
So Kobe Bryant, I'm only using Kobe Bryant for my example. Only example. Get it to me. I believe Kobe Bryant is one of the greatest to absolutely play the game. I don't believe that Kobe Bryant was as successful as a ball player as he was because of self-discipline. I do not believe that. I believe that if Kobe Bryant never played for the Lakers, he would have still played basketball as often as he did. I believe in my heart, if Kobe Bryant would have never went to the NBA, he would have still played basketball as often as his schedule could have permitted. What Kobe Bryant knew as a kid was, I'm going to take this God-given talent that I naturally enjoy to do, and I'm going to try to be a leader at this. And because I like basketball, it don't. I'm waking up 4 o'clock in the morning to do what I want to do. I'm staying later to do what I want to do. I'm working on my game more because this is what I want to do. If self-discipline was truly the key to success, you would excel in everything you try, including your schoolwork, including budgeting, including your marriage, your personal life. So if self-discipline was truly the key, why is it that our greatest athletes, our greatest such and such and such and such, still having marital issues?
Come on.
Because their career, it looks as if they're just so hard worker. They're just such self-discipline. No, they are making money doing what they would do naturally. That's how we have to look at everything we do. Stop trying to do what we don't do naturally. Who told us we can't lead? Who told us we can't be rich doing what we naturally do good?
Mm-hmm.
If we were truly self-disciplined people, which we need to be, we would excel at everything we try. But it's okay. Because Kobe only excelled at what he enjoyed and he was naturally good at doing.
That's right.
And people say, boy, he's self-disciplined. No, he just loved what he do. And that's what us as preachers and leaders have to do. Do what you naturally do. Stop trying to be the jack of all trades. Be the master of one thing. It's not acceptable for you to be my pastor and you tell me you're the jack of all trades and master of none. No, I need to pay my tithe somewhere else. I'm paying money to who the master is.
That's
you
right.
make a team full of masters at what you tried to be jacks at.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's when the millions come. That's when your church blow up. We got too many pastors bleeding in the wrong areas. You're supposed to bleed, but Jesus only get credit for bleeding on the cross.
On the cross.
There's a place assigned to your blood.
Yeah.
Bleeding is only crazy because you're trying to bleed everywhere. Bleed where God naturally called you to bleed, and he will take your blood and make that the secret to your success.
Yeah.
When I pray, I say, Lord, in the blood of Jesus.
Preach it, man.
When I'm ready, when I think of Jesus, I say, instead of saying Jesus still works, I say the blood still works.
Absolutely.
Because he bled in the right arena. He bled in the right circuit. He didn't bleed in carpentry. He didn't bleed in the church. He bled on the cross. And this is why it worked. Excuse me, I'm getting loud. This is why it worked.
No, you know, we understand, Rep.
You in it. We know you loud.
This is why he was able to use his blood and his bleeding right. Because when you listen to God and God give vision, he'll tell you the spots you'll bleed at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bleeding won't catch you off guard.
Yeah.
Because when you stop bleeding, you stop living. So I don't need to stop bleeding. I just need to bleed in the place that I was anointed to bleed in.
I got you, bro.
I love it.
We got about this is our last topic. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about our first ministry. Now we all pastors. You two are two of the best husbands I know out there. I got a list of top husbands that I run with. You two are in the top 5. We got Michael Preston. I know him. He in the top 5. We got Robert Bay. We got Antoine Stewart. I feel that I'm a rather good husband. If my wife on here,
pretty good husband.
Let me know, baby, if I'm a good husband. But I want to talk about it because here's the truth. I've seen this so much, and like I say, I'm gonna just put this disclaimer in before I say it. This is the show that talks about what the church don't want to talk about. Let's just put that out there. So I've seen so often wonderful marriages on stage, disasters in the house. Wonderful marriages. I'm talking about people modeled their marriage behind what they saw on stage. and became devastated when they found out they were sleeping in 2 separate rooms because they just can't stand each other. How do and I know the answer, but I want y'all to answer. How do I love my wife the way I'm supposed to love my wife and still be effective as a pastor without severing the relationship I have with her?
Pastor Bailey.
Well, I only have one thing about marriage is a major ministry, man. It's a major ministry, and honestly, I have so many different. I see that. I have so many views about that. I can only speak from experience. Is that, I mean, well, even biblically, if you go back to the beginning when God put man in deep sleep and He created Eve. The key to it was He brought her without a job. He told her, "You maintenance what He manages." So because God gave him stuff to manage, she just comes along to maintenance what He manages. And I think that's what makes marriage work, is when you understand that God put things in my hand, and then you come along to help cultivate and make sure that it's manageable, that we maintenance it, we work on it, and so you can't just let the church be the only thing. I've been working at the church for a couple of months trying to get the building together, as y'all know, and my wife been letting me just go. She's like, "Baby, I know you're trying to get it," and I had to realize right after at the last little bit of getting everything done, I said, wait a minute, I need to stop, because I've been spending a lot of time doing all this work at the church, and I haven't done anything at home. Hadn't washed the dishes, hadn't cleaned up. And so I took time out to go home and say, let me focus on my ministry at the house, because I don't need her miserable while I'm trying to manage what's in my hand. And that's when you understand how important ministry is in your marriage, is when you understand that you're not gonna always have it all together all the time. But when you come together, if you manage it and she maintenance it, the marriage works. It just works. Everything about it works. So that's kind of what ministers to me.
We got a question right here. It says, but how can she maintenance if he isn't managing?
See, that's a whole nother ball game, because
the issue is not with the wife. The issue is with the man.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's not. I mean, which is a great question, but we've got to be at a place when we look at marriages, man. We got to take marriages more serious than what we've been doing. My only reason for marrying you or being married to you can't be because I'm attracted to you.
Awesome.
Right.
Come on.
Right. So with attractions and the physical is the only reason you're my spouse. When you're doing other stuff and it irritates me, I'm not with it. You become less valuable because I didn't look at you as a life partner when I was choosing to marry you. And I think people need to go back to taking a time and saying, hey man, I don't need a wife. Watch this here. I don't need a wife so that I can have company at the house. I need a wife because I need a global partner. Right? So this is how me and Sarah makes life work now. Because the truth is that this has really affected ministry, has affected our marriage. It's a lot of times I've gauged what she was doing for the church in relates to what she was doing for me. And when I had to realize, Antoine, you ain't the church. Like you not the church. I don't even care if you was preaching or pastoring before you met her. You're still not the church.
Absolutely.
So her obligation, like Pastor Bailey said, is to be maintenance for you. You know what I'm saying? I cannot give a report card to my wife based upon how well she do as the first lady of the church. when she's a hell of a wife. So what I had to do was I had to intentionally separate my wife and say what God has made her to do that is unquestionable is be Antoine's wife. She can figure out who she needs to be to Hopewell. She can figure out who she needs to be to Freedom Virtue Church. But I cannot reset my wife's value because I got a new assignment. It's not fair.
Right.
I cannot grade her for how well she is to me because how the people in my church think of her. So what I had to do was with Hopewell is I straight up said, baby, you're not coming to Hopewell to do anything that you do not want to do. What you are at Hopewell, what you will continually be while we're at Hopewell, and what you will be after Hopewell assignment is over is my boo.
Mm-hmm.
So please forgive me for allowing them and me to make this your priority.
Come on.
Because if you stay her priority, she'll be whatever you need to be while you're at that church.
Yes, LaQuisha, I see that question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, you do. You separate the two.
How do I see the question? I can't see him, Pastor.
You didn't see it? She said, I'm gonna let you see it. She said, so are you saying separate ministry from marriage? Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
If you want to keep it,
Yes.
because you can retire from ministry. You can't retire from marriage.
Absolutely.
Watch this here. This might be another big controversy, what I'm about to say. God called you to be a preacher, right? A pastor, right? Let me ask you this. I honestly believe, y'all, if I did not accept my call to preach, I don't think I'll go to hell.
No.
I think I could have heard the call and God gave me free will to choose.
Right.
Absolutely.
Whether or not I wanted to preach or not. As much as I would love to say, and as much as I want to say that I was born to preach, I wasn't.
Right.
Because he didn't make me preach.
Absolutely.
He called me, I had to answer it.
That's
the
right.
only thing that he made me that I could not pick was a male.
A man.
And a man. And if I have
And a
kids,
woman.
I can't pick to be a daddy.
Absolutely.
If I have a wife, I cannot pick. But at any point, I can say, God, I am not a preacher anymore. Whatever the consequences are, I have to deal with it. But I still can't ignore the fact that I have free will, free choice to do that.
Absolutely.
But what's not up for discussion is the way I treat Antonica Stewart.
That's right. Absolutely.
So
because he brought her. That's
exactly.
Exactly why I was going to say.
He gave me her.
Yeah. And this is my thing.
That's what really makes me happy, because if he brought her, and that's what happened with Eve. He developed Eve and brought her. Mm-hmm. And when he brought her, Adam didn't name Eve until chapter 3. It wasn't until chapter 3 when he called her Eve. Like, so he had been all of this time developing relationship. Like, this is what you got to manage. This is what God gave me as management. And here's what we have to maintenance together. And so he didn't call her Eve until he said, but this is not bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh in chapter 2. But he didn't name her to verse 20 in chapter 3. And so the dynamic of it is that in that whole entire time, there should have been a cultivating of that relationship, so that when whatever happens, and here's what I love about that text, because even after his mistake, that she still slept with him. I know that's going to be too deep. She still slept with him because they got put out of their house. They got put out of the garden, and she still had enough passion, enough will to say, I'm going to stay with you despite what has happened to us, because I believe in you as my husband. I believe in you as my gift. I believe God brought me to you to be able to manage and maintenance this thing together. And regardless of what happened to us, we stick through this because this is what God has anointed us for. And that's what. I'm gone.
This is what I teach. And this is what I teach my people all the time. Because we talking about leaders. So we're not just talking about pastors, men and they house of leaders. So this is what I teach. And when she asked that, what happens when there's nothing to manage, she has nothing maintenance managed. You know what the question was. Anyway, the frustration of woman, and this is for all the brothers that's listening to this. The frustration of woman is the fact that when God made her, he equipped her with everything she needed to manage or maintenance what you're supposed to manage. Now, if you have nothing to offer, she has all these tools lying dormant, which then causes frustration.
Absolutely.
I say this, and I tell this testimony all the time. I married my wife in 2008, June 7th, 2008. It was about 7 years later that I had to come back and apologize to her because I did not marry her correctly.
Me too.
I married her with no vision. I married her with no purpose.
Absolutely.
I married her with no assignment.
Absolutely.
And so for 6 years, there was big frustration until God gave me, until I aligned with my purpose and my assignment. So here it is. I should have been asking her to marry me when I found out who I was. I shouldn't have asked her to marry me when I didn't know what a man was. I was 26 years old, but I still didn't know what a man was. And so I had to apologize to her, baby, I'm sorry, because I did this thing backwards. I sent you through all that frustration. We could have avoided all that frustration if I would have married you when I became a man.
Marcus, please.
But it ain't wrong though. That's not even wrong. I mean, it's still not wrong because at the same time, while God was here's the crazy thing. While God was developing you, he developing her too. Because as you both are being developed by God, when y'all unite, it's like when as soon as Adam sees her, he says, "This is now bone of my bone." How would you know you got a bone missing? You wouldn't have known that if there is not a connection. That was a divine connection, regardless to what happened. Because I went through that same thing for the first 4 years of my marriage. Like Z and I had some hard, rough moments. I mean, almost to the point of divorce, and nobody knew that. Mm-hmm. And so at the same time, I had to sit across the table from her in Louisiana and tell her, look, I'm screwed up. Like, I'm still hurt from my last relationship, and I never got it out of my spirit. I never got that. And so every time I look at you, I think of her. Or every time you say something, you remind me of that pain. And she said one thing to me, I'm not her. So stop treating me like that pain or that aggravation. And I had to get all of that stuff out of me because I was bleeding on her, not knowing. And I literally said to myself then, I said, you know what? A man without vision is going to, a woman who marries a man without vision will keep miscarrying everything that she had. Will every time, and you know, when a woman miscarriages so many times, her body starts rejecting the seed. And so there's so many women who will never birth what man is, the seed of what man has, because they've been given men who's been shooting blanks that ain't giving them the correct way of being visionary. That's why God put us in charge. Let me manage this before she can come in and maintenance it.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. But this is the key with that. It's that every leader, whether it's leader of a church, leader of a business, leader of a family, anytime you speak vision and don't have a strategy, it's manipulation.
Truth.
So that's for our marriages. If we can't tell them what tomorrow look like, they have committed to a manipulated spirit. And it's not fair to them. But with that being said, if she can be with you for 6 years and you have no vision, and she can be with you for 4 years and you have no vision, do you honestly think a church that will walk away from me if I preach the same sermon 2 Sundays in a row can compare to my level of priority that she is in my life? Exactly. So that's where it is. I'm at the point now, preachers, pastors, women of God, men of God, if you want to make your spouse compliment your ministry, don't ever make her compete with it. Because once you make her compete with it, whether
It's a
that
fact.
is, baby, I'll watch the movie later, let me deal with this now. Any form of an inch of competition makes them opponents.
Yep.
You do not compete with teammates. You only compete with opponents. So if at any time you make her feel like it's okay for her to have to compete with your time for something else, you have just separated her love for it and have made her a involuntary opponent to whatever you're doing.
Hey,
Yikes.
drop
So
the
I got
mic.
another question. We got another question. Another question.
Mike, Doc. That's perfect.
It says, so at what point is it okay to call it quits once you see he's not management material or trying to be? Or do we just supposed to stay and lack?
Well, my question is this: how good of a manager are you?
Uh-oh.
When I was in the Marine Corps, and I had sergeants and corporals under me, right? This is like first line of management, right? They would complain to me and say, "Hey, man, such I'm such is a dirtbag. Such don't do this right." And I said, "Because you're a dirtbag." I said, "Because you don't do it right." And LaQuisha, please, I'm not speaking to you directly. I'm just using this as an example. When you are truly a leader, you can put the expectation of duplication on whoever is under you. And a lot of times, if who you're connected to cannot change, that's because you don't lead well enough to. And and now that you have a commitment, leaving is not an option. If there's a commitment as far as marriage. But let me tell you this, the same thing I would tell all 6 of my daughters and 4 of my sons is this, is that if you have to work on him and you're not married to him, you will be working on him for the rest of your life.
True.
Absolutely.
This is what happened when God, Pastor Robert Bailey said, when God put Adam to sleep,
Put him to sleep.
He worked on her.
Eve woke up, she was a whole woman.
That's right. Absolutely.
God said, I'm going to make her exactly what you need. I'm going to put you unconscious so you won't think you need to tell her how to be made to be right for you.
Oh, my goodness.
And some of us are spending so much time working on our partner.
That's
and
right.
There's
Man.
no commitment. And I could have took that same effort and worked on my business and been a millionaire.
Yes.
Before he came.
Listen, until you marry this joker, you can get the hell away from him.
You hear me?
It is what it is.
Man.
Say it again.
I'm telling you.
Until you marry that joker, you can get the hell away from him. It is what it is.
I'm telling you.
You're too creative
and valuable.
Trying to figure out how you haven't built a dynasty. You haven't made a first million. How the hell you gonna make a man?
Come on. I think that's what a lot of and we might as well go there. I think that's the mistake a lot of women make. They don't understand what they carry. And so they go with they don't value what they carry, they don't value what they have inside of them. They don't understand that God made them like if we were cars, this to be real, they would be the limited edition. Right. Because they have all the bells and whistles.
Absolutely.
They have it. And so you're not finna, let me tell you right now, you're not finna park a Bentley unlocked in the hood. You're not gonna do it.
Not at all.
I'm gonna leave my Bentley here unlocked and I'm gonna go and do and a lot of women, the men we choose, and I'm just gonna be real, that's what we doing. We're taking our Bentleys and we're parking them in the hood and leaving them unlocked with the keys in the ignition and wondering why our car wrecked. Value what you have.
But see, here's the thing though, and I think that's the point that Antoine just made. I think what happens is instead, and I love God, man, because he put man in a deep sleep to work on man, and then he created woman to work on woman, so they wouldn't interrupt God's doing work.
Exactly.
Doc, And the crazy part about it is we want to come together while God is still working on us. But then you want to try to point the finger at why the other one is incomplete. Well, because you interrupted God's work on him while you were sitting around saying, well, I just need a man, or I need to have this woman, or I just need to have somebody. You're interrupting the work of God because you wasn't even complete yet. So how in the world are you going to be whole for somebody when you're still half of the person God called you to be?
Right. Got another question. They coming in. We over an hour, but we got another question. Here you go. So what if you just married the wrong person? That shouldn't mean that you weren't a good enough leader, right? Uh-oh.
Yeah, no. Let's do it. So
I gotta be all my members.
So let's talk about
I can't picture y'all nothing. No, I'm just playing.
That is a good example, but I want to dig into that, right? And Marcus, I'm good for whenever you tell me it's over. Okay, so just know that.
Okay.
So this is what I want to dig with that. Sister Jones is this. It's that here it is. This is how unfair we do God. We leave him no room in the entrance and expect him to be our seatbelt on the trip.
Come on, man.
Right? So it's like, God, I didn't pray into this situation, but since I chose to be in this situation, I'm going to pray that you keep me in this situation that I never asked you to be in. Woo. But guess what? It happens, right? A lot of us marry and don't consult God. And now we're here. And now we're at this place where we're trying to say, well, God, what do I do with this wrong person that I didn't ask you for? What do I do with this wrong person that I'm committed to, that I have kids with, that I got their last name with? How do I make this work? Now, here is the deal. This is the consequence for not obeying God. What we cannot ever forget, that there are repercussions. Just because you ask for forgiveness, just because you admitted, there's still extra efforts that you have to put in, or now you're expected to do because you operated in disobedience. Absolutely. So now you have to be willing to do. And let me say this, leading well ain't because you showed them right. Sometimes leading well is because you was patient enough to keep on working on them when they failed your deadline.
Yep.
So the true question is, at what point do I give up on them? Because the truth is, you wouldn't have to be worried about them if you would have just obeyed and waited and listened for God in the first place. And I'm going to tell you this because I've been there. Every marriage, if you wanted to, can work.
You better hear me. I can attest to that.
So
every marriage.
I've been married 3 times.
The question came up talking about abusive.
Yeah, I saw that. I wasn't going to post it, but I was going to talk about it because here's the truth.
Because that's a whole other ball game.
That's another ball game. But if it's there and you ain't locked in marriage-wise, and truth be told, if you are, I'm a firm believer that if they're abusive, you got to go.
That's your exit.
Absolutely.
Straight up.
God is merciful. Get out of it.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this, y'all. We've got to stop making God, and if you're going to call him your daddy, look at him like your daddy.
You feel me?
Stop calling God daddy, and you look at him like master only.
Brother.
You get what I'm saying? And in our church life, we have made God so distant as far as understanding us. Would your daddy want to see you be abused? Exactly.
It's the truth.
Your daddy desires you to do well at any means necessary.
And prosper.
I'm
Absolutely.
a firm believer.
Absolutely.
You getting beat limits you not just from being a good mama, number one, or a good woman, number one, but you cannot do what you need to do for God in the shape that you're in with a beat up head all the time. It's impossible. And we've got to stop making God be this weird foreign creature that we speak a different language with.
Absolutely.
And acknowledge, Master, I'm pure in my intentions. What do I do? And if by chance you cannot stop getting beat, or if you just said that is my Noel, live with your choice and get up out of there.
Get out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because y'all calling each other husband and wife, but it ain't a marriage in the first place.
Right.
Let's call it what it is.
But a lot of people settle because they settle for what ain't suitable because they just want to have somebody. And that's the trauma, is that I'm just gonna settle. Ironically, when God created woman, or when God created, what was it that God did? And when he got ready to put man in a deep sleep, he said, I wanna create somebody that'll be suitable for you.
Suitable.
And before he put him to sleep, he told Adam to name animals.
Mm-hmm.
He told him right before he said, I'm gonna make somebody suitable for you. And then the next thing he started doing is telling him to name animals. And I of course that puzzled me, because I'm like, okay, well, why are you telling me you're gonna make somebody suitable, but you're telling me to make you telling me to name animals. It finally made sense, because God was trying to make sure that I didn't name an animal suitable. He was trying to make sure that it's so, and so because, and when he recognized that he wasn't, watch what happens. He said, now I can create this woman for you. He put him in the deep sleep. And so the dynamic of it, you're talking about abuse. I think a lot of times we settle because we want somebody. We settle for, and that's just not on the women's side. That's even on the men's side, where women become manipulative, and they use their words or their ways or their stuff to try to manipulate their way into a certain environment or a certain atmosphere, and then don't take the accountability. But that's what marriage is. It's holding a sense of accountability to the standard of being able to make that thing work together collectively as a unit. And if it's at any point a compromise where I'm doing all the work and you ain't doing nothing, then that means that we're unequally yoked. We're not even really on the same playing field as it relates. You don't believe in what I believe in. So that automatically nullifies our relationship, because we're not even seeing eye to eye. And you can't help me maintenance what God called me to manage, because you're miserable. You're sitting around causing more pain and more aggravation and more frustration, coming home with all this stuff. So a lot of times we miss that, because we just want somebody and we settle. We just settle. We settle for whatever. I'm just gonna settle for whoever liked me. Oh, he was winking at me, so I'm, and we settle, and we don't seek God for the suitable. We need to look for the suitable. Who's suitable for me? Who fits me without me having to adjust who I am? Because nowhere did Eve have to adjust. Nowhere did Adam have to adjust. They just fit.
And you know why?
Man knows how to acknowledge what's suitable.
Exactly. But you know why you can't acknowledge what's suitable? Because you don't know what you look like 10 years from now. So the problem is, and this is why we do marry the wrong person, is because I married you looking at me today, and I didn't even have a clue what I look like 6 months. That's why our relationship only worked out 6 months. How can you commit to somebody for a lifetime and you don't know who you are the next 3 years?
Absolutely.
Don't marry me. Don't you tell me you love me forever and you don't know what your next week look like, because you already lied.
Absolutely.
You can't handle you next week because you don't know what to expect with you. How are you going to commit to what I'm going to be next week and you try to figure out who you are today?
Absolutely. And
I'm telling y'all, this is the biggest issue, is that we're so spiritual. Especially us churchy people. Me, I'm going to use me. I look to see how would they compliment me in the spirit and then even pay attention to the fact that we had no earthly similarities. Mm-hmm. Some of y'all are unequally yoked in the natural. How the hell you Marcus. I keep saying the H word. How you gonna be equally yoked in spirit? We can't even agree about the stuff we see.
Absolutely.
How we gonna agree
Come
about
on.
God we ain't never seen before? How we gonna talk about faith and we can't agree about food? How can we talk about faith and we can't even agree about clothes? We don't even see eye to eye in the natural.
Truth. Absolute truth.
That's
man.
huge.
And you wonder why your relationship didn't make it 10 years because you're not the same person you was. So stop dating people that work for you for your now and you never investigate what they plan on being 10 years ago because I don't plan on being 34 forever.
Nope.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
Listen, if me and you are going to work, I need to go ahead and tell you this right off the rip. I know it's 2020, but I'm working on 2030 right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I got vision. I got goals. I got plans. Yeah, man.
Exactly. I'm tired of sleeping with people that can't afford a mattress.
Talk, man.
Boy.
If you can't, you worried about where he bought me dinner. This joker ain't got a bed. How do how do you let him sleep in yours? And when he leaves you, he going to his mama couch.
True. True.
You can't
gotta
be
have
spiritual
some
connect. You cannot be spiritually connected to somebody you think is a joke naturally.
Talk, man.
It don't get better. Oh, it's gonna get better. No, it's going to get worse.
It's gonna get worse.
That he's trying to get better, making you promises, shows he's a liar.
Talk, man. Talk, man.
Value your tomorrow. Since you have no value on your today or his, value your tomorrow. Because I got a big secret to tell you. If you live 10 more years from now, you're going to be 10 years older.
Absolutely.
And you making commitments to people that been the same for 5 years.
Waiting for him to change.
Waiting for him to change.
Yep. He gonna get it. He gonna get better. Okay.
When?
He did it all this time.
I'm living on this statement. Ladies, single ladies, hear Antoine Stewart with his crazy behind. If you can't make $1 million, you ain't got no business trying to make a man.
Whoa!
And you know what? We gonna drop the mic right there. We gonna drop it right there. That was perfect to end on. You don't put that in the comments. Put that on your post. If you can't make $1 million, you can't make a man.
Preaching, man.
Man, hey, we well over our hour. I think this is the longest show I ever had. But hey, that's what happened when I get my brothers on the line.
We started 37 minutes late, nigga.
No, you guys on here 37 minutes late. We had technical difficulties. And then so we actually did get that hour in. So hey guys, I'm asking y'all right now. Share this so people can see the replay. I think this is a word on all aspects of leadership that everybody needs to hear. I want to thank everybody that came on. I want to thank my brothers. I want to thank Pastor Robert Bailey Jr. I want to thank Pastor Antoine Stewart. And I'm telling y'all, these are my brothers. These are not my friends. I love these brothers.
On Antoine's joint too.
Huh?
We were supposed to do this on Antoine's thing too.
We was. So we was.
Sorry, guys. We're going to do it.
So we've been rotating. Y'all came to me last Thursday.
True. I'm talking about church stuff.
I'm just saying.
If Marcus teach me how to do this, then maybe we can do it, Pastor Bailey. Marcus don't want to teach me how to do it. I've been trying to get a hold of my staff, get a hold of his staff, and they teach us. Marcus knows he needs to teach me how to do this kind of stuff.
My whole staff on here. So look, we're gonna tell you like this. We about to teach you how to do this.
Wow.
In this call, man. In this call.
I'm here. We'll do it here.
Boom. That is. All right, y'all. We love y'all. Hey, I'm gonna end it like this. We set the standard
everywhere we go. The Life Church, Uncle Pastor Stewart, love you so much.